Hey guys, it is Brido here, and welcome back to our Liverpool Career Mode series. This is episode 29, and in today's episode, guys, we have quite a bit going on. We got 3 games here, and we're also going to take a deep look into where the standings are for most teams, what's going on in the League Cup, and also the overall standings in the Champions League on top of that too. Starting off here, though, looking at the squad rankings, this is something that's not really that important, but I kind of like looking at. Essentially shows which players are in form, how they're doing, and they compare against each other, and it doesn't really give you that great of an insight to the team, but still it gives you something interesting to look at. So I thought you guys didn't really ask for it, but I just throw it in at the beginning of this video. But the game that we're going to start off with this video with is against Reading here, a team that, you know, was able to live through the first season in the Premier League after being promoted, but they're not doing that amazing this season. So a side that we can pick up some good points against. We started a little bit of a weaker side because we got a midweek game against AZ in the Champions League, so trying to balance everything out, but you can see our top forwards there are in the game too, so we should have some good offensive structure for this one, and there you can see the Reading lineup as well. Just a quick note as well, my voice is a little bit off today. I've got a sore throat, so sorry if I sound a little bit different, but I just want to let you guys know that's not because of weird recording reasons or anything like that. But here you can see the first chance for Reading in the game. It's only 3 minutes in, but it's a good volley chance at Leno there. He's able to handle that one pretty well. And then we move ahead here to our first real chance of the game. Lewandowski coming in, tries to put one past Federici, but isn't able to do that one either, and he is able to get a corner of that one, though. Shelvey taking the corner on this one. That was probably the weaker part of this game, is that usually we have a better midfielder, but we started with Leva and Shelvey as well, which are definitely not bad players, but with our upgrades in the offseason, we've definitely upgraded in those positions. And you can see actually a nice shot from Leva there, hitting the post and going out, not going in. And it's one of those things, too, it's kind of interesting about players that don't have as great of a shot. They have a lot more swerve into what they do. And, you know, when they score a goal, actually, it looks pretty sweet. I scored a really nice one with Josemir Balin, my Carlisle United career, where, you know, he doesn't have that great of a shot, but he took a long one. It just did this complete swerve move, and it went in the net. And it's funny, whenever that happens, it looks really sweet, but then you realize, too, that, you know, probably if you had a better player on the field, they would have put that one into the top of the net rather than it just have this swerving action back and forth. So you can see here, though, we got a couple chances to hit the post, so not that lucky, and Shelvey had a great opportunity to put that one away. Now the 85th minute there, just trying to get something to go. Lewandowski with a great chance here as well, puts one at Federici again, but he's got a strong hand to keep that one out of the net. So we get the opportunities, we get the chances, but just not able to capitalize in this game. Unfortunately, we get something here as well, but it's cleared out by Reading, and the game will end as a 0-0 draw. So not a good result for us here. The only good part about it was that we got the clean sheet out of it, but this has dropped points, and we're already kind of sitting a little bit back from the top of the table, so we really need to get as many points as we can, and this is definitely a detriment to that. We did control most of the game, but as you saw, we had those opportunities that were wasted, and we weren't able to get the win out of this one. After that, we got our scouting reports too, which was kind of nice, but you'll see here that we'll take a quick look at the players that we already have. And I haven't really done this that well. I haven't really talked about the guys that we have. We have some interesting prospects here. I think that Javier Camacho is probably the best of the bunch. He's got a good potential there as a player. It's pretty much rounded out now. The other players do have good potential too, but there's no star players in our youth academy as of yet. And right now we are scouting in Germany, trying to see if we can pick up a young German star, but you can see that really nothing that much coming from our scouting prospects here, as we just reject all of them because really none of them were that great at all. But we'll move on though to a game here against AZ, and for this one I decided to motivate our team. I rarely do this, but I thought I'd just throw this in here, you know, trying to get our guys up for this match, because you can see on the table there things are close, things are a little bit hairy. We do have 3 games left, and we really do want to do the best we can in this one, because then it'll give us a little bit room going forward. What you can also see from that as well is that Newcastle United have officially been bought by a wealthy owner, so they're going to get an insurgence of cash coming for them probably in the January transfer window. Maybe a bit there, probably more in the summer too, but it'll be interesting to see how that changes the table, how that changes the perspective powers of the league, because, you know, whenever this happens, it really does make an impact on, you know, what teams are the best sides. And I really enjoy when it happens to a team that's kind of like a side that you think might be able to make the Europa League, one of those sides that isn't top 4 material, but, you know, it's kind of hanging around, because I've seen that in the past where it's been a side that really isn't that amazing overall, and they get the insurgence of money, which pretty much is able to keep them in the Premier League, pretty much gives them the opportunity to be a mid-table side, but doesn't really do that amazing for them. But whenever you get a side like that where they're actually a really good team as it is, probably not one of the best teams in the league, but overall one of the better sides, and they get the insurgence of money, it really does kind of mix up what you can see out of the potential table going ahead. Overall, the change of the standings is one of my favorite things about playing the career mode in FIFA 13, because it does take some time, but you do see the differences after a while. You know, I really haven't seen anything that crazy, that amazing in my experience with FIFA 12. I did see some interesting teams kind of work their way up into being, you know, potential Champions League candidates each season, and more or less Manchester City fall off the face of the earth in my playthrough. But you know, there was some interesting stuff, but nothing too crazy. Probably the best one I actually really enjoyed was that Birmingham City got promoted, and the best part about the whole situation was that I played about 9 seasons or so, and they stayed up in the Premier League for the whole time. And the best part about it too was that about 4 or 5 seasons down the road, they were actually given an insurgence of money, so they were able to become a mid-table side, keep their players, and bring in some good players as well. So it was really cool to see that and kind of the way that worked out, and then some other teams kind of going up and down. Fulham got a good amount of money too, had Wayne Rooney on their squad, kind of an interesting one in that, but it's interesting how that all works and how it kind of builds out. Yes, some of it is unrealistic, but it's still kind of fun to see. The only real disappointing facet of the whole situation for me is that when teams get relegated, when teams go back down to the Championship or whatever league they're in, they really are able to get back up quite quickly, quite easily. And, you know, obviously that is kind of a thing that does happen in real life, but there's also that sense a lot of times, let's say, if a team like Southampton got relegated, they would have to sell some of their players, similar to Wolverhampton, where they sold Stephen Fletcher, they sold Kitely, they sold Jarvis. These were guys that were a big part of their team, and they just kind of had to move on without them and realize that they couldn't pay their wages, they couldn't keep them up in their squad in the Championship, and had to find new homes for them. Yes, they got an insurgence of money from that, but at the same time too, they had to use that money kind of to keep themselves floating, rather than, you know, really putting it back into the squad. They could use it for some of their youth, they could bring in a couple extra players, but they weren't, you know, making a benefit off this. It was more like they had to do this. They probably would have wanted to keep some of these players that they could, but in the case that they decided to, you know, have to sell them because of just the situation they were in. And this is something you don't really see, where we were trying to get some players from Southampton when they got relegated in the last season of this series that we're doing here. And you could see from what we looked at that they had some great players. They had some players that probably would have been sold if they really were relegated, but because of the situation that the game kind of creates, that, you know, oh, you have this net worth, you have this already set up wage, you don't need to worry about getting rid of it. There isn't like this set type of amount that you can make. Like, it's a lot more for them. They can keep the players that they have. They can't get more players because they're down in the Championship now, but at least they can keep all the guys that they have. If they really want to sell someone, they can. But there isn't that sense of like, oh, we are down now, we need to make more money, we need to cut our wage bill, we need to sell this guy. There isn't that type of sense, and it would really be kind of cool to see that, because if that was a part of the game, then you'd see the selling of players a little bit more often. You'd see like, oh, this team went down, they have to sell this guy. And also, you'd also see teams that, you know, let's say West Brom got relegated in our first season, they would have a harder time getting back up to the Premier League. And it really is like that. As soon as you get knocked out, it's a hard battle to get back into the Premier League. And it doesn't really show that. It's a lot more, oh, you got relegated, okay, well, don't worry, you'll be back next season. And there really is that kind of cycle where you saw for us here that the 3 teams that came back up from Championship up to the Premier League were the teams that were in the Premier League the season before. There wasn't any flip over, there wasn't any switches or anything like that. It does change over time when you get deeper into your seasons, because players retire and players get better that would have been a prospect, and you know, top teams don't always buy the best players, so you get guys like again, Birmingham City had Jordan Much, which was like an 84 overall in FIFA 12 for me last iteration. And it's cool when you see that, because then they have actual players that are good, and that's a little bit different from what you'd see normally, and that's kind of builds up the randomness of it later on in your career mode. But for the time being, early on, it really is predictable who you see come up, and it, you know, is also sucks in a way that there isn't that type of sense like, oh, this team just got relegated, we were able to pick this guy up for a lower cost. Sorry for rambling on a little bit there though, guys. Let's jump back into our games here. We had that one against AZ, winning 3-2. A good result for us there, as we were able to get 3 points out of that one, limit them to getting no points from that game, and that also gives us a little bit more space in the table, so hopefully that's going to confirm our spot for the next round of the Champions League. Moving on though, we got this game here against Newcastle, and early on Lewandowski gets the goal off the rebound there. They got a backup goalkeeper in, so not as strong as Krul as normally. Ulrich lets that one go, and Lewandowski is not going to miss on that rebound there. So a nice goal from him, a little bit of a slimy one, but he's able to put that one away, and we got the 1-0 lead against the newly rich Newcastle United. We're able to keep the pressure here going too, as Lewandowski takes the shot. It's blocked, but it falls right to Merkel, who's able to put the volley shot away. That's his 6th goal of the season, a good start for him. And that gives us 2 goals in the game, only 36 minutes in. So a good start for us against Newcastle United. And pretty proud of the boys here, because we were struggling a little bit to get goals against Reading. This is a nice little turnaround. Obviously getting some goals against AZ, but that is a little bit different atmosphere going into that one. So we have the 2-0 lead going into the half here. We have about an even share of the possession, but at the same time the shots are in our favor. So we're doing a good job as well. And yeah, we were able to start off this half with a 2-0 lead, which is always a good place to be away from home. Early on in the second half, though, Newcastle strikes, but we're able to get away there. Skirtle blocks the shot, but it falls right to Papis Demba Cisse, who has an open net to put that one away past Leno. A similar shot to last episode, where we just had the ball laying there after a block shot. The valiant effort failed, so that makes the game a little bit tighter at this point to get a chance there off the free kick. Not able to put that one away, and Gutierrez there not able to get that volley shot on net. We continue to get the pressure on there. Jay Spearing get a shot off there. That turns into a corner. We make a couple changes, really trying to solidify our team going into the last 10 or so minutes of this game. And yeah, we're really at this point just trying to get the win out of this, trying to get the 3 points. Don't want this one to fall away from us. And we get a little bit of fortune here, as Taylor there, already with the yellow card, takes down Merkel right outside the box, and that's another yellow for him. He is sent off with a red card, and a good call too, as we were having an opportunity there to put something close on net, but off the free kick we're not able to get a good shot off there. Luckily though, the game does wind down. Merkel with a chance to really solidify the win for us, but he misses the net there. Unfortunately for us though, the game is finished, and that's a 2-1 win for us against Newcastle. A good win overall, guys, and we get the 3 points out of this game, which is definitely what we're looking for going away. Merkel with the Man of the Match award there. A very good game from him. He was all over the place, able to get Taylor sent off, able to get a goal as well, and really making an impact with his passes on top of that too. With that said, guys, as the end of the episode, I'll leave you with the standings along with the League Cup and also the Champions League points outlook for each of the groups right now. And on top of that too, we got our message back from Bernd Leno regarding the contract offer that we had earlier on in this episode. And unfortunately, he's not going to be signing it, so that's going to be a situation that we'll have to deal with going ahead. But hopefully we'll be able to handle that the right way rather than getting into a hairy situation. Also as well, guys, I'll leave you with one more question for the comments below. What's your most interesting experience you've had with a team in the Premier League? Not your own side, but a computer side possibly winning the Premier League, or a team coming way down from the lower ends all the way to being a top side. Let me know your interesting experiences you've had with either FIFA 13 or any of the older iterations as well. It'll be interesting to hear your stories too. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and stay tuned for more Liverpool career mode in the future. Thanks guys for watching.
In 5th, Arsenal with 18 points. In 6th, Queen's Park Rangers with 18 points. In 7th, Aston Villa with 18 points. In 8th, Everton with 18 points. Bottom of the table, Sunderland with 5 points. And then reading up the table, second bottom, Bolton Wanderers with 9 points. Third bottom, Wolverhampton Wanderers with 9 points. Fourth bottom, Reading with 9 points. Fifth bottom, Fulham with 11 points.